Well, we have some more pictures of the leaves for you and a picture of our house taken from the dock across the lake back at our house and the part of our house that faces the lake. And I hope that you enjoy the colors and that we'll be able to give you some additional pictures. Although tonight they say it's going down into the 20s. What a change from what we've been having. And you can see I have a short sleeve shirt on. I've been wearing that around the last couple of days, but I don't think tomorrow, when it's in the 20s, that I'll be wearing the short sleeve shirt. I got a fire in the fireplace tonight, and it's already down into the low, I think maybe it's even into the mid 40s tonight, right now. So getting pretty cool. We're AD 29. We're event number 17. Jesus is in the area of Perea, and he's teaching in a lot of parables. And tonight we're going to look at two of those parables. Now, it's really quite interesting because until John Phillips' commentaries started to speak to me, I was convinced I knew one of these parables, but I wasn't so sure after I read John Phillips. But the first one I don't have any problem with. It's very, very clear to me. And the first one is found in Luke chapter 13, verses 18 and following. It's also found in Matthew 13, verse 31, and it's found in Mark chapter 4, verses 30 through 32. And it's the parable of the mustard seed. And he says, this is what the kingdom of God is like. It can be compared with, and he says, like a mustard seed. Now, many of you probably remember reading that it says the smallest seed that there is. Well, somebody has come along and said, no, it's not the smallest, but it is tiny. It is 0.039 inches in diameter. 0.039, 39 thousandths of an inch in diameter. 1 to 2 millimeters if you deal in millimeters. Very, very small seed. And he says, like a man that sowed it in his garden, and it grew into a tree. And you say, well, I didn't think mustard seeds grew into trees. Well, it doesn't literally have wood like a tree has, but it becomes the size of a tree. It can actually grow to 9.5 feet in one season. And of course, it is seasonal, so that's about as high as it ever gets. But it says that the birds were able to nest in its branches, and you can clearly see that if you go on Wikipedia or one of the other internet searches, and you'll see that mustard plants grow to a large size. And so he's talking about going from his original followers, 12, and to the disciples, which became, we know, more than 70 that were following him when he sent them out to minister, to hundreds, if not thousands, by the time the New Testament church really got started well, and to today, where we see that Christianity is a huge portion of the religious makeup of this world. So that's exactly what's happening. It's growing, it's growing, it's growing, and that's exactly what he said was going to happen to what started out as a very small ministry that Jesus had here on earth. And so we see that fulfilling exactly what the Bible said that it would fulfill. Now, the second parable that's told right here in the same general area, Matthew 13, verses 33 through 35, and also found in Mark. Let's see, is it found in Mark? No, it's not found in Mark, but it is found in Luke 13. And so we find it in two Gospels, and that is, he compares the kingdom of heaven with leaven. And he talks about a woman taking and putting a little leaven into 3 peck measures, and until all was leavened. Now, that's quite interesting because most of the time leaven is used in a negative sense. That is, when he talks about the leaven of the Pharisees, when we see the leaven, we find that it has almost always represented evil. But John Phillips believes that what he's talking about is how evil would spread, in contrast to the good spreading and growing like the mustard seed, that he says the world will also get more and more wicked until the whole world has been leavened with its wickedness. And you can see that that is a very plausible explanation because the world has become more and more wicked. Life has become less and less important. There's more and more violence, more and more division, more and more fighting all over the place. And so you can see that John may well be right, that it's not an exception to the normal use of leaven, but is actually comparing the growing of the kingdom in a leavened world. And I'm becoming a believer in John's representation that leaven here is also evil, that the world will become more and more evil, even though the kingdom of God is growing. And that seems to be exactly what's happening today across the world. And so you can think about that, you can pray about that, but I couldn't find any place where leaven was used in a good sense, with the exception of this particular possibility. But now that John has said it might still also be the evil, I'm more inclined to think that's exactly the case. Nevertheless, the kingdom of God is growing. The world is becoming more and more evil. And we know that the world is not becoming more and more Christian because it isn't. So we know the world's not going to become more Christian and grow in its size because of the other things that Jesus taught about the world's condition at the time that he will come back. So I think that you can see easily that John Phillips has a good argument for the leaven being evil here rather than good. And that's my thought for the day. God bless you and have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. I hope that you'll stay warm wherever you are. And I hope that you'll be in church on Sunday, regardless of the weather. And that's my thought. God bless.